Hi, Thomas here. Today I want to talk about calling your ex for the first time after the breakup. Now, before you call your ex, there are a few things that you must do before you call them. You need to make sure you do all these things. If you don't, this phone call could end up turning out very bad for you. Okay, so we don't want that to happen. So before you call your ex, you need to make sure you have at least 30 days of a no contact period, unless you absolutely have to. So don't call your ex any sooner than 30 days after the breakup. Before you call your ex, you need to make sure that you are completely over the breakup and that you have realized you can live without your ex. Now, if you try to call your ex before you're over them and over the breakup, you may come across as needy and desperate. If this happens, your ex might end up hanging up on you in the middle of your conversation. That wouldn't be a good experience. Before you call your ex, you need to make sure you send the second chance letter. And you don't want to call your ex right after you send the letter. You want to give your ex a chance to read this letter. So you don't want to call your ex any sooner than 2 weeks after you send this letter. Now, when you send this letter, your ex should end up calling you back. And if they're calling you back, they should be waiting for your phone call. So they should be expecting you to call right now. Before you call your ex, you also need to make sure that you go on some dates. Yes, you have to do this. At least 1 or 3 dates just for fun. You see, if you can't go on dates, if you don't want to do that, or if you can't do that, and if you're not able to talk to the opposite sex right now or hang out with them, what makes you think you're going to be able to hang out with your ex or talk to your ex and seem normal? So you want to get some practice before you talk to your ex. So make sure you do all those things before you call your ex. All those things. Don't just do 1 or 2. You got to do all of them. Now, the point of this phone call is just to get an outing, not a date. If you ask your ex out on a date, they're probably going to say no. You know, asking out on a date is way too much. It's way too demanding. If you ask your ex out on an outing, you know, it's not that big of a deal, and they're most likely going to say yes. An outing would be like lunch, coffee, a walk, you know, something short, sweet, and simple. Like a 30-minute or an hour get-together at the longest. You see, if you just ask your ex on a date and not outing, you know, you're going to get turned down. You want to gradually get back with your ex. You know, first you have a no contact period, and then a second chance letter. Then you call your ex. Then you go on some outings. Then you go on some dates. So you can't just jump right back into this. So outings, then dates. You're going to call your ex, get an outing. Now, this outing, make sure that it's only 30 minutes to an hour. If it's any longer than that, you're going to talk about things that you don't need to be talking about. Now, there are some things that you need to do before you call your ex that you have to have pre-planned out. You want to make sure you call your ex when you think they're going to be available. You don't want to try to call your ex when they're working or sleeping or when you think they might be busy. You want to call them when you think they're going to have time to talk to you. Also, when you call your ex, you need to make sure you keep this conversation no longer than 5 minutes. That's it, 5 minutes. Anything longer than that could be damaging. You may end up talking about the breakup, your emotions, your feelings, and all that stuff. You do not want to talk about anything else. 5-minute conversation. During the conversation, you just want to get a feel of your ex, and then at the climax, towards the end, you want to ask your ex on the outing. Now, before you call your ex, you want to make sure that you have your outing kind of pre-planned, that you know what you're going to do before you call your ex. You don't want to call your ex and not know what you want to do. You're going to want to know what the outing's going to be. You don't want your ex to pick the outing. You want to tell them, hey, this is what we should do. So have it planned. Now, when you call your ex, what are you going to say? Well, it's very simple. You're going to call your ex and you're going to say, hi, how you doing? And then they're going to tell you how they're doing. Then you can ask them, well, how was the weekend? How is your family? How is your job? How are they doing? how's life in general? And hopefully they ask you the same. Now, 5 minutes into this, you should be at the climax of the conversation, and hopefully things are going good. 5 minutes into this, you want to ask your ex out on the outing. You say, after you've talked for a few minutes and after everything's going good, you say, well, I was wondering if you'd like to hang out maybe sometime the following Saturday, maybe a week or two from now. Maybe we could go out for lunch or coffee for like 30 minutes or an hour. Now, if your ex says no, or if they're hesitant, you want to try to turn this into a for sure yes. What you do is you say, or you could giggle and laugh. You could say, well, it's only lunch, it's only coffee, it's only 30 minutes. It's no big deal. I mean, it won't take that long. And then hopefully they'll be like, yeah, you're right, it's no big deal. Sure, lunch sounds like it'd be fun. And then you'll turn that no or maybe to a for sure yes. Now, the reason why you want to try to plan this outing 1 to 2, hopefully 2 weeks after the phone call is because it gives you a chance to call your ex again before the outing. So let's say you plan this outing 2 weeks after the phone call. What you could do is you could call your ex 1 week after the phone call and 1 week before the outing and say, hi, how you doing? Well, are we still going to go out for lunch or coffee? And they're going to say, hopefully, yes. And you say, okay, well, I'll just call them to check in and to make sure that you still want to hang out. Well, I'll see you next week. Have a good day. What happens is, when you call them just before the outing, it makes them think of you. It makes them think of the outing. So it's kind of like, you're going to call them and they're going to be like, well, that was nice they called. Well, I'm going to look forward to this outing. That's what they're thinking. So you want to try to do that. Plan the outing 2 weeks after the phone call, and then you want to try to call them 1 week before the outing and just remind them that you're going to meet up. Now, I just want to briefly, one more thing too. I got to mention, if your ex does not answer, okay, if you don't get an answer, if you get a voicemail or something, do not leave a voicemail. Do not call your ex more than once in one day. Don't keep calling them. Don't leave voicemails and all that. That's just going to make you look desperate and needy and all that negative stuff. So don't do that. You only want to call your ex at the most once a week. No more. If your ex does not pick up the first week, you can try again a week later. And then if your ex still does not pick up, you can try one more week after that. If they still don't pick up, well, then they're probably avoiding your phone calls and they don't want to talk to you. So then you're probably going to have to wait maybe like another month or so to call them again. And then if that doesn't work, then you're most likely going to have to move on. Hopefully it doesn't happen. So only call your ex once, and most likely if they don't answer, they'll probably call you back. So give them a week to call you back if they don't answer, and then if they don't call you back, you can call them back. Now, the outings and the dates and everything, what do you do on the outings and dates? Well, I'll talk about that further on in my training course. Right now, I just wanted to talk about what you are going to say on the phone call. That's it. So I want to talk about. So once we take care of this phone call, once you get past this step, then we can talk about the outings and everything else. Now, if you are having a hard time calling your ex, I've noticed since I've been helping people that men tend to be okay with calling their ex. They just kind of crank up their egos and they'll just pick up the phone and start talking. Women, on the other hand, tend to be a little more hesitant. Now, which is okay. Now, if you need help calling your ex, I recommend that there's this lady that I know. Her name is Mimi Tanner, and she has this book. It's called Calling Men. It's a great book. I've read it. Even though it's a book on calling men, that's kind of awkward. I read it because I figured, well, if women can use it on men, well, maybe men can use this book on women. And I've used it on my lady, and it's pretty nice. Some good tricks in there. So Women, if you're having a hard time calling your men, and if it seems difficult to you, click the link below this video and check out Mimi Tanner's book. And also, men, I recommend that you read her book also because you can use her tricks too. They're really, really good. So click the link below this video and check out Mimi Tanner's book. And I will see you inside my free training course. Make sure you let me know how it goes when you call your ex. And I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day. Bye.